Hello, viewers. So I am your host, Osama, once again, and this time with the third podcast, the third football podcast of Sports Banter. So today we'll be doing the preview of the final match of Euros 2024, and that is Spain versus England. So this match is supposed to take on 14th July on Sunday in Olympia Stadium in Berlin, Germany. So without any further delay, let's just start talking about the match itself. So just a quick summary of the tournament. So the tournament that started. So in the semifinals, we had Netherlands, Spain, England, and France. So in the first semifinal, Spain was able to beat France 2-1 and advanced towards the finals. And the second semifinal, uh, England was able to beat Netherlands, and hence they were able to advance to finals. So we have our finalists now, as I said, Spain versus England. So delving briefly into the history of Spain versus England over the course of last 10 to 15 years, or you can say last 20 years. So the last meeting between Spain and England was on 18th of October 2018, and England won that match 3-2. And in this match, England was able to score three goals first, and Spain was able to stage a late comeback, but still England won. And the last time they met in Euros was in 1998, and once again, England was victorious on that day on penalties. So as far as the head-to-head is concerned, so overall they have met for like 27 times in international tournaments or friendlies, and Spain has been victorious for 14 times. England has been victorious for 10 times, and there's been a draw three times. So certainly we can say that this is a match that gives gives an output instead of a draw most of the times. So as you can see that there are only three draws. So it's a result oriented encounter over the course of the history. And as far as the players to watch are concerned, so personally, I would say that these would be Bellingham, Yamal, and Saka. But obviously, we'll be talking to our so-called experts over the course of this podcast to take their opinion as well. So, coming towards the introduction now, so with me, I have in the orange shirt, Mr. Faraz, and in the black sleeveless, we have Mr. Nofil all the way from America once again. So, hello, boys. Welcome back.
Hello. So,
So, Nofil, I'll start off from you. So, is it coming home this time around finally after all those years of misery?
hmm it's definitely coming home this time, even though Spain are the favorites. To be honest, I feel like they have England has. If you go head to head, I feel like their players have more caliber. It could be because of the Prem hype; they're more hyped, and they're considered better players. And Spain, I mean, La Liga is good, but I mean, it doesn't get as much popularity as the Prem does. I feel like how England is playing right now, they're playing pretty amazing, especially in the last game, and they showed us that too. Before that, they weren't playing as good, but as long as they can keep that flow up and that form up, they should be able to get the job done. And England has a really good depth in their squad too. The last subs that Southgate always makes, where he brings in either Palmer and Eze or Palmer or Watkins, that definitely helps with the finishing off the game, in my opinion. So even though Spain is an amazing team, and it could definitely be that they could win. Honestly, what I think is it's going to be a 50-50 chance. So right now it's pretty level in my opinion. Of course, Spain are considered the favorites because they've been winning by majority of goals compared to England, which struggled to get to the finals. I feel like still with the form that England is in, Spain and England are pretty level, and we're gonna see how it turns out tomorrow. Because when they come out to the field, we're gonna know who's in the right mentality to take the cup home. Right now, I mean, they have pretty amazing players. England, I really like Bellingham. He's one guy that never quits. As long as Phil Foden and Saka are in form, that's going to be a pretty big advantage to England. And Palmer, I don't know, a lot of people don't like Palmer for some reason, but I really like him. I feel like he brings a lot of benefit to the team. And as long as they're in their flow and and their form, they should be good. and we're gonna have a really good match tomorrow. Spain, we don't have to worry about their form because they've been in that consistently. So in my opinion, it's a 50-50. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
So for us, Nofil believes that it would be 50-50 match, but personally, I believe that Spain would be an overwhelming favorite, like around 70% chance of winning as compared to England's 30% chance. So that's what I believe. But what's your say on this one? So who's the favorite going into this game?
Um, I think 60-40, 60 for Spain and 40 for England. But I think in the this this is going to be a one-off game, so I feel like if I guess England will be probably on the back foot and they will like to hit on the counter. But as long as Kane is there, I don't see them getting in behind the Spain defense because Kane doesn't has that pace now to get back that Spain's backline. So I think it's going to be a cagey
So
match.
Raj,
Uh,
just wait a minute out here. So you talked about Harry Kane. So obviously he is the talisman of England and he's the
yes,
captain and he's arguably their best player
yes,
on paper. But again, in the last match when Ollie Watkins came on alongside Cole Palmer, so after coming on, there were like 2 to 3 plays where he got behind the defense. He
yes,
made that run. As you said, that Kane doesn't has those legs anymore to make
yes.
those sort of quick sprints or uh, those agility moves. So do you think that Gareth Southgate should take this move to drop Harry Kane and start Ollie Watkins or Ivan Toney instead of Harry Kane?
No, I guess one thing that he can do is that he can start Ollie Watkins alongside Kane because over the past few years we have seen that Kane at times drops deep and there is a good pass to uh, either side of the field to one of his wingers. So one thing that they can do is that they can play Watkins alongside Kane, but I don't think Southgate is going to do that. I guess Watkins will probably be on the bench, and they will probably be fielding the same team that they started in the semi-final.
Okay, okay. So now we are having a look at the Spanish squad. So obviously, if we compare the squads, okay, so Spain doesn't has as much depth as England. Obviously, again they are starting Alvaro Morata over the course of the tournament in the center forward position, and apart from him, we haven't seen the likes of Jose Perez or Joselu
Yeah,
so far. So it's mostly Mikel Oyarzabal or Ferran Torres coming off the bench, and even they aren't those players who could possibly make an impact or something like that, as compared to the likes of England, who have got Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney, and both of them had made an impact coming off the bench so far. So Nofil, what do you think that with the will the squad depth come into play in the final match? I mean, let's say the score is 0-0 after 70 minutes, or let's say 1-1 after the same time, and then you need those impact subs to come on and make the difference. So on
Mhm.
paper, we can safely claim that England has got a better squad overall and a better bench.
Yeah, I feel like that's the pattern of Southgate. That he kind of exploits that the depth of the squad because he knows that's a benefit that his England team has. Because at the if you ever in every England match you've seen after 70 minutes or so, he does those subs where he brings in fresh legs. Either Eze comes in, which is he's an amazing player. He has the pace, he has the dribbling quality, and he can get behind the defense easily and Palmer who can feed him those balls. And I mean, you have a lot of different options as far as forwards go for England compared to Spain, who have the best players on the field currently when they start. Um, they have I mean, they don't have a huge advantage as far as depth goes. So that's definitely going to help out England because those last 70-minute substitutions, that's going to change the whole game as it has done in the past as well. So I feel like it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a big win, 3-1, 2-1. I don't think it's gonna be a really close game. And we might even go to extra time and penalties at the end. And when that extra time hits, that's when the depth is gonna help England. And even before that, after 70 minutes or so, that depth is going to come in, and I feel like that's going to be a really big disadvantage for Spain because they're going to be tired from playing for the last 70 minutes. But again, you can't really underestimate Spain too. They have the ability, they have the technique, even though their forwards aren't the best, but they still find a way to shine. Just look at Danny Olmo. Like, he isn't the best player in his club, but he's the golden boot number 1 right now. So he's kind of shown in this Euros tournament, and they have that national playing capability. I feel like when they put on the shirt, they play a lot better for Spain. England has that too, but I feel like Spain players, the players who were considered somewhat mediocre shine when they're playing for their team. So you never know what's going to happen, but still England is going to have that depth advantage for sure.
Okay, okay. So for us, if we look at the Spanish midfielders, so there's one name, Pedri, who was obviously injured, and coming into this tournament, he was one of the starters. So he has been replaced by Fabian Ruiz. I mean, he is starting for Spain alongside Rodrigo Hernandez. But my question for you is that will Spain miss Pedri in this final? Because obviously Pedri, once again, he's a huge talent uh, alongside the likes of Lamine Jamal, Nico Williams. He is one to watch. He is one to watch for the future.
Yeah, I guess they would be missing Petri in this final, and obviously he'll be gutted to miss out on this final as well because, as you can see, most of the players from his age group, I mean, in the England side as well, Jude Bellingham and the Sakas and the Fodens are also probably going to start, so he'd be quite gutted. And yeah, Spain would miss his technical abilities in the midfield. However, I feel that Fabian Ruiz is doing a good job, and Danny Olmo, as he scored in the last game, I think it won't be as much of a big miss, but yeah, there must be something.
Okay, okay. So boys, now we will delve a bit deeper into the tactics of both the teams. So if we talk about England, so they have deployed 4-2-3-1 formation for the initial 4 games. 4-2-3-1 or a different variant of 4-3-3. So when they played this 4-2-3-1, for the most part, they had the midfield of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Declan Rice. And as you can see in the picture, these are the average positions taken up by these players. And obviously, after the use of this 4-2-3-1 formation in the last 2 games, I mean in the semi-final in the in the quarterfinals, they switched back to the three at back formation. I mean 3-4-2-1 formation. And in the semi-finals as well, they played with three at the back. So one thing that we can say out here is that Gareth Southgate has shown flexibility as far as tactics are concerned. So my question from you, Nofel, is that going into this final, so as I told you that Southgate has used the 3-4-2-1 formation in the semi-final match. So do you think that he would go in with the same formation and the same team, or would he like to switch back to 4-2-3-1 formation that he used in the initial stages of the tournament?
I feel like he's going to continue using 3-4-2-1 because Southgate, I mean, as a coach, I feel like he doesn't respond to pressure as good. So he's going to try to continue doing what helped him. He's going to go in with 3-4-2-1, and I feel like he's going to try to employ as many tactics as he could from the last game into the same game. I don't see him switching back to the formation that he was using before because that wasn't bringing him amazing results. They've barely scraped through and got those wins. So I feel like he's going to be still using the same formation. Again, he does give a lot of leeway to his players because I don't know why he does that. Maybe that's his part of his plan, or I feel like he thinks that all the individual players have a lot more capability and decision making, so they should be able to help out the team themselves without him being there. So I feel like he's going to continue the same formation, but he's going to give them ability to float and then move around midfield. Like if you look at John Stones, he plays in the back. I mean, he's a defender, but like he plays for City, he always floats into the midfield all the time, and he makes those forward runs and he gets the ball progression forward. So I feel like Southgate has that advantage where all of his team, all of his players, they know what to do. They're not looking for instruction constantly, and because of that, he's able to just set a formation, and then they can be flexible about it, and then float around the pitch if they need to.
Okay, okay. So Faraz Novel said that England would most probably be using the 3-4-2-1 formation, or the 3-3 at back formation. So in that formation, over the last two games, Saka has been primarily starting at the right wing back position.
Yes.
So up until this point in the tournament, they haven't come up against any team. Those have two out and out wingers, quick wingers. And in the case of Spain,
Yes.
they have Nico Williams on the left wing and obviously Lamine Yamal on the right wing. So technically, if we see, so Nico Williams is going to come up against the likes of Saka and Walker. Now, obviously, Walker has got that pace, but again, with the three at the back, you have to cover the position
Yes.
of center back as well. So he won't be able to go out as regularly as a traditional right back. So
Yes.
obviously, Saka would have to help him. So my question from you is that, is there a chance that Saka gets exposed in this game? Because obviously, Nico has been on a tear in this tournament.
No, I don't think so because Saka, when Arteta first came, and I guess during the time at Emery as well, he played as a left back as well. So, and even in the games, Arsenal games as well, he does track back a lot. So, and right now he's more of playing more of a right in the right wing back role. So, I guess obviously he'll have to track back to protect Walker. And I don't think there would be much problem for him doing so. The interesting battle, I guess, would also be Saka versus Cucurella. Uh, if Saka gets forward often.
Saka's gonna get caught by Picarella. I don't think he's gonna be the best player on this team. We'll see.
Let's see what happens. But I believe that the kind of coach Southgate is, he would be like first defense only, then attack. So probably he would be instructing Saka that I don't care what happens in attack. I just want that Nico
Yes.
Williams shouldn't score or assist or maraud along that along that wing. So coming towards the Spanish tactics now, so they have primarily used the 4-3-3 formation. So on paper, it doesn't looks like a proper 4-3-3 or the traditional 4-3-3. So even though the play card says that they are forward, but what I see are two floating central attacking midfielders, the FW and RCM. So, but one thing that we can conclude is that they have four players who are in the attacking zone, the left wing, the forward, the right center midfield, and the right winger.
Yes.
So we can safely conclude that it's an ultra attacking lineup, and De La Fuente definitely prefers to attack first, and for him, attack is the first form of defense. So, Raz, my question from you would be that, will the Spanish ultra-attacking football or a generally attacking football, this philosophy would come back to haunt them in this final? Because obviously against France, there was this time period when they were like dominating the match, but when France got a chance to hit on the counter or make some quick transitions, Spain was vulnerable. They were definitely vulnerable. So similarly against England, England has got some pacey players. For example, Saka is there, and then they can bring on the likes of Anthony Gordon as well. They have got legit pace. So England has got a chance to hit on counter or in transitions. So do you think that Spain would be vulnerable in this game?
Yeah, in the current lineup of England in the starting 11, I don't see there's much space in there except for Saka. And Saka, as you just said, that he's mostly playing on the right wing and as a right wing back. So I guess as the game progresses and if it stays nil-nil till the 70th minute or 80th minute, and if and since you just mentioned before that England has a better bench strength and they have pace in their uh, on their bench as well. So I guess then it might have be a problem for Spain, and they might get caught on the counter. Uh, so yeah, which is why I think that Spain should try to kill the game in the first uh, half an hour or first half, just like they tried to did with France.
That's not
If
gonna
the
happen.
game, yeah, it depends because England are I'm guessing that England are mostly going to sit back and be as they are probably defending with five at the back out of position.
Hmm.
So I guess let's see.
I feel
I
like
feel
what
like
the
Southgate's plan would be that okay, let's see how the match goes and let's just try to get towards the 70-minute mark or 80th minute mark. And once the Spain has got tired legs, let's just then put in the likes of Anthony Gordon or Ollie Watkins who can just like sneak in a goal or so. So that's what I
Anthony Gordon hasn't even been subbed in though. Did he
sorry.
come in?
So far, I don't think
You think he might
he
be
hasn't
adding
come off
in?
from the bench. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he. Well, I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't put him in though.
Yeah. So, Nofil, my next question is from you. So, the Spanish goalkeeper is obviously Unai Simon. So, talking about the history of Spanish goalkeepers, they had Iker Casillas at the in the Spanish golden generation, and then they had the likes of Pepe Reina alongside. And in more
Hmm.
recent years, they've had, I guess, Diego Lopez and then Kepa Arrizabalaga and then there's been some other goalkeepers as well. But obviously, none of them could come close to the legacy or the quality of Iker Casillas. And now they have got an Simon, who I think is a fairly decent keeper, not one of those world class keepers. And although he has been doing well over this tournament, but I still feel like he has got some flaws in his game. I mean, he's not that much good with the ball at his feet, which could be seen by the fact that he made a mistake against, I guess, Georgia, where Spain conceded first goal, and it was
Hmm.
his misplaced pass that led to this Georgian attack. So obviously,
Hmm.
there's this thing that Unai Simon is somehow or somewhat of a weak link in this Spanish team. So do you think that England team or Gareth Southgate they would try to target him like they would ask maybe they could ask one of the forward players to constantly press him during the build-up of Spain to enforce some errors or mistakes?
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good point to be honest, because Spain hasn't been. They haven't had to rely on their goalkeeper throughout these Euros. They haven't. I don't think they've been to penalties. Have they been to penalties in any of the matches?
No.
I don't think so. Yeah, so they haven't been to penalties, and I'm pretty sure they haven't had a actual penalty against them, unless I'm wrong. So it's not like they've put. So Unai Simon hasn't faced that pressure in this tournament, in my opinion. So we don't know how he's going to respond to that pressure when it comes to him. And since it's a final game, there's a high chance it might be going to draw, it might be going to penalties. I mean, that could definitely happen. So he hasn't been in that position, whereas England, their keeper has been in that position, and he's really adaptable to pressure as well. So that could definitely be a really good benefit for England, and they would definitely be able to put pressure on him and see how he responds, because it's not like he's been in that pressure before. So I would, if I was Southgate, I would definitely go against the keeper. And when they go to penalties, of course, that's going to be a big benefit too, for the keeper not being able to face penalties before, so he doesn't know what he's going to do in those penalties. Of course, he's practiced it, but he hasn't been in that position. So that's definitely a big link, a weak link.
Okay, okay. So Faraz Nofil agrees with me that Unai Simon can be a weak link. And apart from that, if we could see, so the rest of the Spanish defense, we have Danny Carvajal, Robin D. Normand, Emerick Laporte, and Marc Cucurella. So I believe that Danny Carvajal, he doesn't has any weakness as far as this match is concerned. I mean, he's that typical Real Madrid do or die defender, Real Madrid kind of do or die defender. And he has had a good tournament as well, apart from the last match where he was obviously suspended for the game. So one other weakling that I possibly could see is Mark Cucurella. Again, he didn't had a very good season for Chelsea as well. He was in and out of the team constantly, but he somehow made the Spanish squad since there were no other options available. So do you think that Mark Cucurella he would somehow be targeted or at the receiving end of any possible mistake, Spanish mistake during this match?
I think Cucurella's form improved quite a bit in the last few games, and in this Euro as well, he has
Mm.
been
Pretty
performing
good.
quite decently. So again, it depends if Saka is like if he is relieved of his defensive duties, then and if he's attacking constantly, which isn't obviously isn't going to happen because he has to protect Walker. Uh, because obviously he's playing as a wing back as well. So I guess it will be a interesting battle, and I won't say that Saka is going
Only if
to.
Saka gets forward, only then.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
if he gets, yeah, if Saka or Foden or if Palmer comes off the bench, and if they try to overload his flank, Cucurella's flank, and then I guess it uh, may trouble him.
because honestly, if you ask me, because I don't think that any coach, whosoever it was in this game against Spain, he would target Danny Carvajal because
Yeah,
though
he's
I'm not a Real supporter, instead I'd say that I'm a Real hater, but I'd have to admit that Danny Carvajal is arguably one of the best right backs in the world right now.
hmm
Not because of his pace, not because of his crossing. It's just that he is at the right place at the right time, and
yeah.
one of his traits is that he has got superb positioning as a
Yeah,
right back.
He
No,
scored a goal with his position too, didn't
yeah,
he? With
yeah.
a header. With his height, that's crazy.
So, so as we were talking, at the end, it's Mark Cucurella who's the possible weak link in the back line apart from Unai Simon. So, Nofil, I'd move
Yes.
one step further. So, we have this defender named Emerick Laporte, and obviously was part of Manchester City for a large time. And he was possibly one of the best centre backs in Premier League as well for 1 or 2 seasons when he was
hmm
regularly playing. Even right now, he's at his peak, but obviously he isn't part of City anymore. But
Yeah.
still, he has been the defensive talisman for Spain, and his passing out from the back, specifically
hmm
the passing between him and Rodri, when he
Yeah.
takes the first line of attack of England to give that pass, that's been excellent. So, what have you got to say on Emerick Laporte?
Laporte is a premium player, and he's still playing the best game that he can play, in my opinion. His team, if I'm not wrong, his team in the Saudi League did win the tournament, their league too. So that's one thing that we can keep in mind because his form hasn't declined. I thought that when he would go to another league, he would definitely be. We would see a decline in his form. But to be honest, he's been playing amazing, world class football, world class defense, and in my opinion, Spain has a really good defense, especially with Rodri. I mean, he plays the CDM, but still he's part of the defense. With Rodri, Cucurella, Laporte, like, and Denny Carval, like, we have these amazing players that it's hard to get behind them. So I don't think they're gonna have a problem with the defense as much. They're gonna have a problem with their keeper because if your defense is so good, one negative aspect is that your keeper doesn't have to do a lot, and because of that, if the opposing teams comes back behind your defense and your keeper is caught, then there's a chance that they can score against him with no issues. So good defense brings in bad goalkeeping, in my opinion. But I don't think I think Laporte is still playing premium football, and he can definitely take his team to win the tournament. Hopefully that he doesn't because I'm supporting England. Well, we'll see what happens with the game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nofil. So just a slight thing that I'd like to add that Unai Simon wouldn't do any mistake out of nowhere. It's just that because he didn't have to make any extra
Yeah,
saves or any
he doesn't
extra
have
saves for
experience.
the
Yeah, with
Euros.
that.
And this is the first time possibly that he would have to make some of those saves, and he just won't be in
Exactly.
front, or you can say be ready to do that. And that's the only thing that I think that England could possibly target. That okay, this is the guy who has had a
Yeah,
pretty decent and pretty peaceful tournament so far. So let's just
exactly.
target him and get him out of his comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's comfortable right now because he doesn't have to rely on his. I mean, I can't say that he's a bad keeper because he hasn't been in those positions. So we just don't know what pressure is going to do to him because pressure is a big thing, and you don't know what the best players are going to do in pressure.
Yes.
So see,
By the way, viewers, let's welcome Ahmed Numir, who has joined us midway along the podcast. Hi, Numir.
Hello
Let's
guys.
talk a bit about football. Forget
he's
about
an
cricket
expert.
for a while. वैसे ही पाकिस्तान तो अभी हार गया, अब जो लेजेंड वाली चैंपियनशिप थी दोबारा इंडिया से रील हो गए. खैर मिस कराओ. So boys, you were
यार
talking about.
हारना अलग है, लेकिन आई थिंक कि जो एक्चुअल आपकी T20 था उससे बेहतरी कर गए हैं ये वाली टीम आपकी.
ठीक है, ठीक है, क्रिकेट की हम बात करते हैं बाद में. सो बॉयज, यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पेन वर्सेस इंग्लैंड, द फाइनल मैच ऑफ यूरोस 2024. So we've already talked about a lot of stuff, the tactics and the players to watch and all. So now I would like to go back in history a bit. So obviously there was this whole English golden generation comprising of the Gerrards, Rooneys, Scholes, Lampards, Michael Owens, Ashley Coles, and all the so-called players of those of that great English generation, and they weren't able to deliver any international trophy. And now, obviously, Gareth Southgate, he has reached a couple of semifinals and finals, and now finally he has chance to deliver one big trophy, and that is the Euros. So, Nofil, my question from you is that do you think that the current team is better than the England's golden generation, or it's just that Gareth Southgate as a manager has been able to manage a slightly less better players as compared to the golden generation and culminate them or like knit them in a well knitted team.
So, in my opinion, that's my opinion, not everybody else's. But I believe that they're living in the golden generation right now. If they can't contribute, right now, the player that Southgate has, he has the best players out of all the teams of the Prem. So, like, come on, you have Saka, you have what do you call it, Foden, you have Kane, like you have such amazing players in your team, and you can't take your team to win a trophy. Like, come on, like that's something on the coach, and I blame Southgate 100% for this because he's not been able to bring in the team together and have them win the trophies that they needed to. Right now, they are living in the gold generation. In my opinion, they are better than the older team, and if they can't win this trophy, then I don't know who can, because this all the blame lies on Southgate. If you look at all the players individually in all the teams, they all perform a lot better under different players. Now, if you look at Saka, I mean, of course, they didn't win the Premier League because Manchester City is just a better team. Um, but Saka does still perform a lot better in Arsenal compared to England. Foden, he's been at the top of his game in the last season. He scored a lot better than he does in the previous seasons. And Trent Alexander, Harry Kane, he's never won a trophy, but that's always been because of Tottenham. So right now, England is living with this golden generation, and if they don't win this trophy, then this is completely on Southgate, and they need to get a better manager. Hopefully, the team comes together and they don't care about Southgate and they just put in whatever small tactics Southgate can give them and win the trophy. But if they lose, I'm not blaming the team. I'm blaming the coach.
Okay, okay. So for us, apparently, Nofil believes that the current generation or the current crop of players, they are the actual golden generation of England. But if we see this combined 11, obviously we can have different combined 11s as well. But in this 11, we have Rooney and Kane, and in the midfield we have Saka, Lampard, Gerrard, Beckham, and then in the at defense we have Cole, Terry, Stones, and Walker. So personally, I believe that the current team, that is a better overall team, a much better organized, and technically they are better. But still, if we compare individuals from that era to this era, I still believe that the individuals from those era were better. I mean, the likes of Lampard and Gerrard, Beckham, they were like household names during their time. And the players we have right now, the likes of Declan Rice, Saka, Kane, obviously they are huge players. No disrespect to them, but if we compare them with the likes of Lampard, Gerrard, Beckham, and Rooney's, I mean, personally, I don't think they come any close in terms of popularity or fame. So
Well,
what's
but you can also
Yeah.
say that with Lampard and Gerrard, you've seen their career throughout.
Yes.
All these young players, they're at the start. So if you compare the
Yes.
start of Lampard and Gerrard, you would have a different outcome, in my opinion. But Faraz, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I would say the same. I guess Gerard and obviously both of them, Gerard, Lampard, Rooney, all of them were really good, really good players. And but as Nofil just mentioned, Saka, Bellingham, Foden are all of them are young and they have a lot of years of football ahead of them. And yeah, and as you mentioned that this team is a more cohesive unit than the time when Lampard and Gerrard played. So, which is why these players are also performing well. And I guess Southgate has also coached some of them before when he was the England under 21 coach.
Mhm.
So, I guess this team is more gelled in, and which is why they have reached back-to-back Euro finals.
So here's the thing, boys. So as I said, that if we look at the individuals from the golden generation of the previous era, they were better as compared to the current one. We can have different opinions on that one, but one thing that I would like to appreciate about Gareth Southgate is that when it comes to the current team, so he's not letting any player hold England hostage when he becomes a big player or so. For example, we have had Marcus Rashford. The moment he started becoming greater than the team, or you can say an influensive individual, he was dropped. And similarly, it goes for Raheem Sterling as well. So this is one area where I would like to give credit to Gareth Southgate, that he has always preferred those players who thought about England rather than their individual self or their individual accolades or their individual stats. And this is one aspect I like about Gareth Southgate. He might be limited as a coach in terms of tactics and and flexibility, but in terms of overall management of the squad and the management of individuals, I believe
Yes.
that Gareth Southgate has been able to do individual uh, wonderful job. So
Mhm.
just one quick question from you, Faraz. So out here, obviously, in the case of Lampard and Gerrard, we can't have a debate until and unless Declan Rice goes on to have a wonderful career, and similarly for Bellingham, if in case
Mhm.
he goes on to have a good career, then we can have a different conversation. But for the time being, Lampard and Gerrard, they are justified. And similarly for Beckham, I don't think England has had a more better showtime or Hollywood kind of player than Beckham. Obviously, he was good,
Mhm.
as well, not just because of popularity and stuff. And similarly in attack, I believe that Rooney and Kane are justified. Again, the young upcoming attackers for example, the likes of Watkins, Ivan Toney, and then we can talk about Michael Owen as well, although he had a injury-ridden career for the later part. So I think Rooney and Kane are justified. But the positions of Saka, Walker, and Stones, these are the three that are debatable in this team. For example,
Yes.
if we talk about Stones, then again we had the likes of Jamie Carragher, and then we had Sol Campbell as well,
Ferdinand.
Ferdinand as well. So we have had other very good. And again for Stones, he hasn't been a regular in the England side. He has been in the squad in the squad for a long time, but he hasn't been a locked choice up until this Euros. So what's your say on these three players, Saka, Stones, and Walker? And for Walker, obviously, his competition is with Gary Neville, if because he has been an England regular for a large part. Because you smiled a bit. I talked about Gary Neville because obviously he was the mainstay in that golden generation. the so-called golden generation. So, do you think that these three players are justified, or you?
Yes, I agree with you that these three are a bit debatable, and obviously Saka is still young, so we can't say much about him right now. And if he continues to perform the same way, then obviously that spot is locked in. And as far as Stones is concerned, and then we can say that Ferdinand would also be in this lineup, combined lineup. And as far as the right back position is concerned, I don't think there, for a large part of time, as you just mentioned, Gary Neville was playing for the England team. So I guess Walker is fine in this time.
Okay, okay. So, guys, we talked about the golden generation, and while you were talking about that, I talked about this aspect of Gareth Southgate, where I told that he has been good in terms of removing those players whose names become bigger than the team itself, and one of those players is Marcus Rashford. So he had a topsy-turvy season. He wasn't good for the most part. He was just average. And
Hmm.
coming into this tournament, most of the pundits were saying that he would be an automatic selection because, okay, he is one Manchester United player, and he has performed well over the last couple of years. Although this season was a bit below par, but ultimately Gareth Southgate dropped him, and there were some other household names as well who had been England regulars for last couple of years. For example, Jordan Henderson, and then Calvin Phillips as well, Harry Maguire as well. So all those players were dropped. So
Yeah.
specifically talking about Rashford because he had a couple of very good years for England and Manchester United, barring the previous season. And he's still, I guess, not young, but still at the peak of his career. I guess he's 24 or 25, and he has got good amount of years ahead of him. So, Nofil, do you think that he would make a comeback in the national side, or do you think that this is it? Because in case England wins, then Gareth Southgate can make an argument that okay, my selection was justified, and the players who I dropped, their dropping was justified. So, what's your say on Rashford's future?
I feel like I agree with you with what you said regarding Southgate and his selection of the players. Because if you look at the team right now, they have the best players out of all the teams, all the clubs available. So he's been really good at that as far as selecting the correct players for his squad. And there hasn't been any noted issues or anything, any fights or anything like that between the players either. I feel like with Rashford, he's been going through a rough patch, and that rough patch has gone from 1 year to now 2 to 3 years now. So this season he performed better than his previous season, but he's still not performing at the capability that he used to back in the day. He has still has the benefit of the age, so he still has a few years to come where he can perform a lot better and come back to the form that he knows. But I feel like he has issues outside of the pitch too that he has to sit and then basically go through. Because even in Manchester United, you see him either getting subbed off or he comes in later throughout the matches. So even his own coach, Eric Ten Hag, he's kind of lost confidence in him. And I feel like the only way to kind of for him to come back is to face the issues that he has off the pitch and go through them, and then he can focus on football completely. Because right now we know he's a really good caliber of a player and he can get there, but he needs to get go through. He needs to go through those issues first, and hopefully he does.
Okay, okay. So for us, we have talked plenty about England, their current team, their golden generation. And similarly for Spain, I would like to go back a bit in history. So this is a lost trophy that they won in 2012, and this was the Euros. And obviously, this was their last trophy, the last trophy of the Spanish golden generation. Of course, they won the 2008 Euros, and then they won the World Cup, and then they won the Euros 2012 as well. And if you see this team, this is full of legends. For example, the likes of Xavi Hernandez, Andres Iniesta, Marta Fabregas, Pedro Hernandez, Sergio Ramos, Xabi Alonso. So this is a team full of stars, Iker Casillas as well. So
Mm-hmm.
since then, Spain had a bit of rough patch in between for 7 to 8 years, and they weren't able to perform well. Obviously, if we talk about this team, any generation coming after this generation, it would be hard. It would have been hard for that generation to replicate what they produced. And obviously, most of the players came from the Barcelona side and Real Madrid side, so they were pretty much well gelled in domestically as well. So Spain had this transition period, okay, where they brought in Luis Enrique, and then they also brought in Lopetegui, and now they have De La Fuente, and obviously they are in finals, and once again they have a chance to make history. So now coming towards the comparison thing, so do you think the current team comes close to this team? Because obviously I won't be lying, this team is still better, the 2012 version. And let's not forget they won that final 4-0 against Italy, and it was
Mm-hmm.
a pretty comprehensive victory. Like Italy were totally outclassed in that game. So I won't say that this team, the current team is better than this one. So the question is, does the current team comes any closer to this team, or do you think that they still have a long way to go?
I guess if you compare both of these teams, Spanish side that won the two Euros and the World Cup, they are, I guess, quite far ahead of this team. Even though this team, they are gelled in well and they have a few exciting prospects, and it's a good mixture of experienced players and young players. Which is why I think if Spain wins this Euro, then this is going to be a really big achievement, and it could be a start of their dominance in international football again. As you just mentioned, that they were going through a transition period after the 2012 Euro win. So yeah, that's my take on this current comparison.
I feel like the Spain team that they had, that was the best team that they could ever get, to be
Yeah.
honest. If you have Iniesta, Xavi, and if you have Casillas as your goalkeeper, Ramos as a defender, like what more can you ask for? I feel like a team like this only comes by once in a lifetime, and it's gonna take a long time for Spain to get to the point. They have good developing players like Pedri,
Yes.
Yamal, Nico Williams, but I feel
Yes.
like it's gonna take some time for them to get to that point. And they have some older players too that are going to be retiring soon, like Nacho and Carvajal. So like once they're gone, they need to find good replacements for that too. So I feel like they have a lot of ground to cover to even come close to this team.
I personally believe that I don't think that any team would be able to
Yeah.
replicate or even come close towards this Spanish side, the 2012 one. And there are a number of reasons for that. And the first reason is that, as I mentioned, that most of the players in this squad, they were either from Barcelona or Real
Mm-hmm.
Madrid. So when you have a couple of players who are coming from the same club domestically, and then they play for international team as well, so they already have that coordination. And specifically for Spain, they had that midfield of Xavi, Iniesta, and
Mm-hmm.
Busquets, and they were once again part of arguably one of the best club sides ever
Mm-hmm.
assembled in the Barcelona from 2009 to 2012 under Guardiola.
Yeah.
So I don't think that happens anytime soon. Might be possible that the current Barcelona crop of Nico, Gavi, Pedri, they are able to have
Mm-hmm.
a prolonged and quality career, and somewhere down the lane, they are able to replicate. But again, it would be a hard shot. And another thing, another important factor is that in the 2012 campaign, Spain didn't play with any orthodox striker. I mean, they started Fabregas as a false nine throughout the tournament.
Also,
And Fernando Torres used to come on, and that was usually around 70th or 80th minute. So again, that was special within itself. I mean, they did it all without an out and out striker. So let's see how far the current Spanish team goes. I mean, it definitely has a lot of potential, a lot of young prospects, specifically in Lamine Jamal and Nico Williams and Pedri. And that is the best part. I mean, the current Spanish team, they might even win the Euros, but the best part is that that is not a finished product yet. I still believe that the best years of this Spanish team, they are yet to come.
And they don't even have Gavi yet. Gavi yet. He's injured. So like that's another part of the midfield.
Although one thing that I would like to reiterate is that I don't see Spain producing any quality striker anytime soon. I mean, we have had Fernando Llorente in between, and obviously we have had Alvaro Morata in and out, and then we have Mikel Oyarzabal, although I don't consider him an out-and-out striker. So, as compared to the past, where they had David Villa and Fernando Torres for a huge part, and there were some other decent strikers as well. So, I don't think they have any upcoming strikers. So I think that is one area where Spain would find trouble. Apart from that, in defense and specifically in midfield, the Spanish side seems to be stacked. They have plenty of upcoming stars.
Wait, which because Laporte is gonna be retiring soon too, isn't he? And
Both is going to
Carvajal.
retire soon, but again, Robin Lee Normand, he has got a very good,
Mhm.
he's got his
Right.
career ahead. And then there are
Mhm.
other Spanish, young Spanish center backs, upcoming center backs. And
Mhm.
as far as left back positions are concerned, I'm not sure about right back, but on left back, the kind of tournament Cucurella had, I think that
Oh yeah,
he would be available for next 4 to 5 years. So
definitely.
these are
Definitely.
exciting times for Spain once again, and I hope they'll be able to win a couple of trophies once again, including the current current Euros. So this is it from the analysis point of view. Now I would come towards a bit subjective discussion. So Ramir, my next question would be from you. So this is actually first question from you. So just get ready. So the question is that what do you think is that one trait of the championship teams, regardless of the sport, either it's a football championship match or a cricket championship match. Okay, we talk about the skills, the tactics, the formations, the planning, everything. What is that one quality that you think that a champion should have?
I believe it's all about the mindset that the champions, they do not give up till the last moment. That's what I believe, that that is in my opinion, that is what it takes to be a champion.
Okay, okay. And specifically for this match, the England versus Spain match, what are your predictions? Who's gonna win? And
Okay,
what's your predicted scoreline for this match?
okay. Some of you might not like what I say, but Nufil, I completely agree with what you said earlier, that England's team has been the best and has performed outstandingly throughout the tournament. Uh, however, I personally believe, and I mean, I have a gut feeling that trophy won't be going to Britain. Sorry. France was France was the top favorites throughout the tournament, and Spain managed to send them home. And I believe that Spain would do the same to the England.
Okay, okay. So Novel, Numir believes that it's going to be Spain's day and the trophy is not coming home. So it's going to be another miserable day for English fans. What's your
Mhm.
prediction?
I feel like
Score.
with France, there, there were some disadvantages against France. Mbappe wasn't performing at the best of his capabilities, and we know what he can bring to the team. Because even if we look at the World Cup final against Argentina, um, what do you call it? France went down 2 goals, and Mbappe brought them back. His mentality after the halftime is what brought France back. So they didn't have that they didn't have that player at the best of his form, because of course we saw that he had an injury in the Euros where his nose was broken and he had to wear that mask where he wasn't performing well, and after that he still had to be careful of his injury, so he wasn't able to go in as much as he did back when he didn't have that injury. So you had that one disadvantage. If one of your best players isn't performing well, then of course you're not going to be performing at the 100%. And secondly, like we discussed in the previous podcast, where Griezmann was dropped for the team. So that's another thing that they had it as a disadvantage against them. So France wasn't at 100%, in my opinion. If they were, they would have given Spain a way better fighting chance. So I feel like Spain, even though it's really good, there is still a big chance that England could take it home. But we'll see what happens. Like I
So
said,
what's your predicted scoreline?
in my opinion, it's gonna. I don't think one team is gonna end it in 90 minutes. It's gonna go to penalties, and England is gonna win that.
Okay, okay. So Fraz, Numeed thinks that Spain's gonna win, and he thinks that Spain would win in the normal time. Nofil thinks that England's gonna win and after extra time in penalties. What's your predicted score?
Um, it's a bit tough, I guess, if the game is 0-0 and it goes into extra time, or if uh, then England has a good chance of winning this. But if within normal time, I expect Spain to win by 2-1.
2-1.
I feel like that's Southgate is gonna be wishing that it goes to penalties, but we'll see. What's your Kip? What's your
So I think that Spain would be winning 3-1. So,
Make it 4.
and I think it would actually be 1-1 till 80th minute, and the last two goals would be scored in roughly 85th minute and 90th minute. So obviously the second goal would be the winner. The third goal
Yeah.
would be a bonus since England would be going all out attack in the last few minutes. So my scoreline is 3-1.
I don't know. I don't know about that because, like we mentioned before, that Spain is going to be tired by then, and they're going to bring in England is going to bring in those subs. So if they gotta get those scores, they gotta get it before the subs, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know. It's
Again,
football.
it's prediction. Again, it's prediction.
No,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
we cannot say anything right now.
I
It's based
completely
on
agree.
what we feel like or what could possibly happen based on the
Yeah.
logic. The logic says that Spain is the better team right now. So that's
Mhm.
what I am basing my opinion or
Yeah.
prediction on. But let's see. Again, best of luck to the both sides. But one thing that I would probably wish is that I hope that the best team wins on the day. I don't want
Mhm.
team to win by a fluke or a
Yeah.
fluke goal like they are defending for the whole match and suddenly they score on one transition. I actually want the better
Exactly.
team to win. Either it is England or Spain. So with that being said, so we are officially done with the preview overall, and alongside the preview, we went a little back into the history of English and Spanish sides as well. And let's hope for a good, entertaining final match. So, with that being said, let's close this podcast, boys, and good luck to both the teams, and good luck to the Spanish and English fans. So,
Mhm.
thank you so much for watching, viewers, and don't forget to subscribe Sports Banter. Thank you so much. Goodbye.